once again, and welcome into Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. We've got a busy show for you planned this week, so I want to jump right to my first guest. He is finishing out his term as state representative for Ohio's 41st District, but about to transition into representing District 44 after a win on Election Day. Say hello once again to State Representative Josh Williams joining us here on Leading Edge. Thanks for being here. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me on, Jeff.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
A long, tedious election cycle for you?
Yeah, it was. It was challenging. Getting to know 70% of my new district was new to me.
Yeah.
So being able to get out there and talk to new voters in new areas of Lucas County, Wood County, Ottawa County, and see what their issues were and how I could fix those issues.
What dynamics change for you? We talked about this a little bit in the green room here at WTOL, but when you go from 41 to 44, what dynamics change for you, not only as far as the voters in that district, but the makeup of that district?
So it was very similar to my last district, although I didn't have portions of Toledo. A lot of the issues stayed the same when it came to inflation, job creation, taxes, community safety, immigration. But a real different dynamic was the school systems. You know, before I dealt with Washington Local School District, which is neighbor to Toledo, very similar communities compared to Anthony Wayne, compared to a Perrysburg School District in Northwood and Genoa. Just getting to know those school districts, and it's a different dynamic when it comes to school funding, when it comes to the type of curriculum that they want to teach and the type of workforce development training they want to put in.
And I asked you, I said, what do school districts do as far as reaching out to a state representative? How does that state representative help them?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the fair school funding formula. And we are going into the next General Assembly, the last budget process. We increased school funding substantially overall in the state by $3 billion. This next cycle, we're going to hit the last phase of the fair school funding. So they're coming in, making sure that they get their portion and trying to explain to me why they believe they need to have bigger portions or smaller portions from the state.
Let's go back to the election real quick. Election happens. Obviously, we have President Trump coming into office. You saw an opportunity. You wrote an op-ed. Yeah. Put it out there for the national media to kind of jump on. They did. They attracted to it. New York Times, Fox News, you were on. Talk to me a little bit about getting the message out and what you really wanted to hit home, not only for the local community, but for the nation.
Well, being on the ground before the election cycle in my neighborhoods, where my family lives in the inner city of Toledo, we knew what issues were important to them. And we believed the Democratic Party was just dismissing those voices and those concerns. I thought the Democrat Party would wake up after, you know, that big wave and the popular vote going towards Donald Trump and the Republican Party. But I woke up to pundit after pundit just regurgitating the same issues, believing that Trump was elected because he was racist or America's misogynistic. And I wrote that op-ed hoping to wake up the Democrat Party to say, you guys are missing the ball. And if you continue down this path, you're going to lose for decades.
What's been the reaction? What's been the response?
It's been very good from both sides of the aisle.
Okay.
Right? I know lifelong Democrats that are blue-collar workers that were like, that's spot on. That's what we want our party to concentrate on, and they're missing the mark. And then I had independent voters say, this is why we actually voted for Trump. And then, of course, Republicans were like, hey, we appreciate you bringing that perspective to our party. And it was just to get the message out there. I'm trying to get the parties to realize we need to get back to the center, get back to covering issues everyday working Americans care about, right? It's not black issues, it's not white issues, it's not Hispanic issues. It's American issues. And the voters overwhelmingly said on Election Day that the solutions that were proposed by the GOP was what they were voting for.
Talk to me a little bit about your background. And I know you said we could talk probably 3 hours about your maturation process. But on the TV commercials, on the radio commercials, we heard about you as a homeless individual, somebody who was near death at points in your life. Yeah. All of that true?
Every moment of it is true. So I dropped out of high school at the age of 18 when I became homeless. I was attending Star High School as an honor student at the time. I was sleeping on park benches, bouncing from house to house, sleeping on friends' couches. Met the mother of my son.
You lost your father.
I did.
That was a big moment in your life.
My dad was huge in my life growing up. At the age of 5, he died from cancer. So then I was raised by a single mother. My mother is white Native American. My dad was black. I have 2 older male siblings. So we struggled, right? We got raised in poverty and eventually made our way out towards UT. I got in a good environment, did better in school, but dropped out when I became homeless. And eventually fell at work and got injured, disabled for 6 years, underwent 40 procedures plus on my spine, finally recovered and hit college at 30, and in 5 years earned 3 degrees, became a lawyer, then a professor, and then elected to my first term as a state representative, and now my second term.
It's an incredible story. I want to ask you something that came up during the election season, and that was Derek Marin, who was running and still running at this point. The race hasn't been decided against Marcy Kaptur. Shows up at Toledo Express Airport, had a litany of politicians behind him. Do you think this is something going forward that you in the State House, he or even Marcy Kaptur in the U.S. House of Representatives can push for more passenger traffic out of Toledo Express, and how?
Yeah, I absolutely do. We've had conversations in the last budget. We brought funds to our airports around here. I think we need to definitely increase. I would love the idea of being able to go to Toledo Express Airport and catch more flights to different locations, direct flights. I believe we can bring more resources, not only from the federal government, from the state of Ohio, right? Being able to make it easier access, making more businesses around that area, more accommodations, so you don't have to drive so far from the airport to get into where hotels are located. I think it'd become more attractive if we did that.
That's a fair point. Actually building up the area in Swanton around the airport to make that almost like a destination mecca.
Correct. And make it where Toledo becomes more of an attractive place, so you don't have to drive so far. You can fly into Toledo, you can stay there, people can meet you. There's more, you can put more conference centers around that area and make it more attractive, because it's still a little bit of a drive from the inner city of Toledo.
30 seconds left. Your biggest hopes and plans for the General Assembly in January?
So we're going to concentrate on three main issues. One is human trafficking, right? We're going to concentrate on border security and making sure our communities are safe by defunding sanctuary cities. And the big emphasis is going to be workforce development. We're going to make sure our kids and our adults that are losing their jobs to layoffs are able to get retrained for free here in Lucas County, so they can get back on the job market quick and fill the jobs that are open currently around us.
Because education is so important to you.
Education changed my life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to change the lives of all Ohioans.
State Representative Josh Williams, great to see you. Congratulations once again. We appreciate it. We'll be back right after this.